Good morning. I am Samriddhi K.C. These are the headlines of the hour. Cabinet meeting decides to give state honors during the last rites of late Speaker Damannath Tungana. National flags to fly half-mast. Katmandu District Court issues arrest warrant against former Home Minister Rabi Lamichhane, followed by arrest warrant of District Court Kaski. Ukraine receives green signal to use long-range missiles, officials skeptic about the outcomes. And Sri Lanka defeats New Zealand in the ODI series by 3 wickets, third ODI scheduled for tomorrow. The Cabinet has decided to perform the last rites of former Speaker of the Parliament Damannath Tungana with the state honours. Spokesperson of the Government of Nepal, Prithvi Subbagurung, has said that the government has decided to declare public holiday to mourn the death of the Dungana. Likewise, the government has decided to fly the national flag to the half-mast.
राजकीय व्यवस्था सम्मानका साथ आज उहाँको अन्त्येष्टि हुन्छ त्यसको सम्पूर्ण व्यवस्थापन गर्ने जिम्मा चाहिँ हामीले गृह मन्त्रालयलाई दिएका छौं त उहाँको निधनमा शोक मनाउन सम्बत 2081 साल मंसिर 3 गते सार्वजनिक बिदा दिने र उक्त दिन नेपालभरका सरकारी कार्यालयहरू विदेश स्थित नेपाली दूतावास र नियोगहरुमा राष्ट्रिय झण्डा आधा झुकाउने निर्णय पनि गरेका छ।
Tungana served as the Speaker of House of Representatives from 1991 to 1994. He played a facilitating role in bringing the then rebel Maoists into mainstream politics and the peace process. Tungana had been suffering from liver-related ailment and breathed his last while undergoing treatment yesterday afternoon. More than 400 candidates have registered their names for 44 vacant positions in the upcoming by-elections. The Election Commission has set up a schedule for the registration and election process for local level by-election process. Nominations had been filed yesterday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the designated election offices. A final list of candidates will be published on 19th of November from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Candidates can withdraw their nominations on November 20th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with the final list released between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Election symbols will be issued from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on the same day. Voting will take place on 1st of December from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The elections are for 44 vacant positions at the local levels. Meanwhile, 20 candidates have registered their names for the head of the Kantipur municipality. 11 independent and 9 candidates from different parties have registered their names for the election. The election code of conduct has come effective from yesterday midnight. Katmandu District Court has issued an arrest warrant against the party chair of Rashtriya Swatantra Party, Rabi Lamichhane, and former DIG of Nepal Police, Chabilal Joshi, who had been alleged of money laundering and mishandling the fund of cooperatives. An arrest warrant had been issued after the day they were alleged for mishandling the fund of Swarna Lakshmi cooperatives located at Kalimati. Complaint had been registered against 24 others along with the chair of Gorkha Media Network, Jitendra Babu Rai. Lamichhane, who served as the managing director, and Joshi, who was the vice chairman of the network, are in custody in Kaski, where they are under investigation for similar allegation involving Surya Darshan cooperatives in Pokhara and Supreme cooperatives in Butwal. The Rupandehi District Court had also issued an arrest warrant against the pair for cooperatives fraud. US President Joe Biden has given the green light for Ukraine to use long-range missiles supported by the US to strike Russia. A US official has confirmed the move, a major change of US policy. For months, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has been urging that the restrictions on the missiles known as ATACMS be lifted, allowing Kyiv to strike outside its borders. Russian President Putin has previously warned Western nations against such a move, saying it would represent the NATO military alliance's direct participation in the Ukraine war. Ukraine plans to conduct its first long-range attacks in the coming days, the sources said, without revealing details due to operational security concerns. The White House declined to comment. The move by the United States 2 months before the President-elect Donald Trump takes office on January 20th follows months of requests by Ukrainian President Zelensky to allow Ukraine's military to use U.S. weapons to hit Russian military targets far from its border. The change follows Russia's deployment of North Korean ground troops to supplement its own forces, a development that has caused alarm in Washington and Kyiv. Some U.S. officials have expressed skepticism that allowing long-range strikes will change the war's overall trajectory. The decision could help Ukraine at a moment when Russian forces are making gains and possibly put Kyiv in a better negotiating position when a ceasefire talks happen. It is not clear if Trump will reverse Biden's decision when he takes off the office. Trump has long criticized the scale of U.S. financial and military aid to Ukraine and has vowed to end the war quickly without explaining how. Meanwhile, Russia launched what is thought to be its biggest coordinated assault in months, killing at least 10 people. UN Secretary General Antonio Gutteres called on G20 members to use their power of leverage to tackle key global issues such as climate and peace. During a press conference in Rio de Janeiro, Gutteres told journalists 2024 was well on the way to break heat records days after leaving the COP29 meeting in Baku. He also emphasized the need for peace in Gaza, Ukraine, and Sudan. G20 countries account for 85% of the world's economy and are the largest contributors to multilateral development banks, helping us to steer climate finance. They are also responsible for more than 3/4 of greenhouse gas emissions worldwide. Reaching agreement may only get tougher with the return to power of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, who is reportedly preparing to again pull the United States out of Paris Climate Accord. Trump is also planning to roll back landmark climate legislation passed by outgoing President Joe Biden, who visited the Amazon rainforest on his way to Rio. UN climate chief Simon Steele wrote a letter to G20 leaders on Saturday imploring them to act on climate finance, including boosting grants for developing nations and advancing reforms of multilateral development banks. However, the same fights that have plagued COP29 since it began last week are spilling over into G20 negotiations, according to diplomats close with the Rio talks. Nigeria and India agreed to deepen collaboration in counterterrorism, maritime security, and intelligence during a state visit to the West African country by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Modi is the first Indian premier to visit Nigeria in 17 years after the invitation sent by President Bola Tinubu, who is seeking investments from some of the world's biggest economies. Modi, who has arrived in the capital Abuja on Saturday night, met Tinubu at the presidential villa yesterday, where two leaders discussed issues ranging from trade and economic cooperation to food security. With growing threats in Gulf of Guinea and Indian Ocean, the two countries agreed to coordinate on the action to safeguard maritime trade routes and combat piracy. The statement said that leaders reiterated their unequivocal condemnation of terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, including the cross-border movement of terrorists and terror financing networks and safe havens. Nigeria is seeking to woo more Indian investment and cheaper lines of credit to help boost its economy and create jobs. On the sidelines of G20 summit last year, Nigeria said that it had secured from Indian investors, including Jindal Steel and Power, which committed to pump $3 billion into Nigeria's steel sector. there are more than 200 Indian companies operating in Nigeria. After Nigeria, Modi was expected to travel to Brazil to attend this year's G20 summit. That is all for the moment. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.